Welcome to the Bennie Report. Coming up in this edition, the Maneuver Warfighter Conference wraps up on post.
And the Battle Lab increases lethality for Bradleys.
Later, celebrate with Kool and the gang. Welcome to the Bennie Report. I'm David Wright.
And I'm Melissa Bell with the Fort Benning Public Affairs Office. Thanks for watching.
Opelika resident and retired Command Sergeant Major Bennie Adkins received his Medal of Honor from President Obama at a ceremony at the White House. Sergeant Major Adkins receives the nation's highest military honor for his actions far beyond the call of duty in March of 1966 in Vietnam.
Bennie will tell you that he owes everything to the men he served with in Vietnam, especially the 5 who gave their lives in that battle. Every member of his unit was killed or wounded. Every single one was recognized for their service.
The Maneuver Warfighter Conference is a forum for Army leaders to gather and discuss the challenges of today's and tomorrow's maneuver forces. At this year's conference, we heard from Fort Benning senior leaders as they gave updates on the state of the infantry and armor.
Fort Benning's commanding general, Major General Scott Miller, launched day 1 of the Maneuver Warfighter Conference by delving into the future of maneuver forces, where he addressed the complex environment in which soldiers operate and how decisions made today can impact the Army of 2025.
We're in a fight. I mean, as we're coming out of Iraq and Afghanistan, we're not fully out of Afghanistan, and now we're a little bit more back in Iraq. I look at us as we're in a current conflict. We're learning things, so we can talk about things like 2020 and 2025, but the imperatives of 2020 and 2025 are right now.
At this conference, Armor Commandant Brigadier General Scott McKean discussed the necessity of master gunner management, maintaining an operational fleet, and standardizing scout platoons with the 6x36 formation, offering more tactical versatility. Armor School Command Sergeant Major Michael Clemens also updated future leaders on a new assessment instructor candidates will face to determine if and where they will teach when they arrive at Armor School.
We look at their expert knowledge. We look at their experience. We look at their ability to communicate as a professional. We look at their general technical knowledge, individual skills. But more importantly, we look at their aptitude. Can they learn? Can they teach? Can they coach? Can they mentor? Because that's what we do here.
Maneuver forces will also continue to master the fundamentals, building agile and adaptive leaders to operate worldwide.
It's very challenging. You have to challenge them with complex, hard, realistic training. You need to present them in a training environment with decision-making problems that develop the confidence to act decisively, the judgment, which is really underpinned by things like the Army ethic, the character, the laws of land warfare, to make good decisions fast, to be agile.
Brigadier General Rainey also spoke on the importance of increasing mobility and hull capabilities, integrating indirect fires and attack aviation, and supporting early entry operations while closing the gap between the soldier and the network. For more information on each briefing or to watch it online and view the slides, visit Fort Benning's homepage at benning.army.mil. Melissa Bell, Fort Benning TV.
And as leaders discussed the way ahead, a technology expo was held, giving attendees the opportunity to see what innovations may be in store for the Army of the future. This year's Maneuver Warfighter Conference once again featured the nation's top defense contractors showcasing their latest products at the Maneuver Exposition. A glimpse into the future of the Army can be found each year at the Maneuver Expo, and it's the perfect opportunity for soldiers, senior leaders, and others to get an up-close look at the latest technologies, such as these smart targets. These autonomous robotic targets do not require operators. Instead, they are programmed with scenarios providing moving targets to soldiers. The torsos are built to take about 5,000 rounds and are able to differentiate between kill shots and body shots.
We're trying to solve a problem here common to all militaries, which is the only time you do live fire training with realistic moving targets is during combat, is during firefights. which is a very bad place for on-the-job training.
One asset of these robotic targets is that they allow decision-making to be incorporated into live-fire exercises, rather than simply providing soldiers with a predictable series of stationary targets.
It knows where it is, and it knows where all the other robots are, so it can move in a formation. If you shoot one robot, the rest can immediately run to the nearest cover, or they can decide to attack you. We want to keep the shooters on their toes.
The products on display at the expo represent the technological evolution necessary to continually improve the lethality and safety of the American soldier. This modular protection attachment system, or MPAS, is designed to work in conjunction with the standard issue helmets to increase soldier safety by improving how such things as eye protection, night vision goggles, and comms attach. The mandible face guard is the most distinctive feature.
This has been a lot of result of feedback from the maxillofacial surgeons within the military, soldiers in the field having accidents that could have been avoided, especially facial accidents. Broken jaws, nose, teeth, those things on a turret or a gun can be avoided by having the right protection in front of your face.
With the ever-increasing pace of technological evolution, the Army needs to keep developing new solutions for us to achieve overmatch in our future conflicts. David Wright, Fort Benning TV.
General David Perkins, U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Commander, addressed the Maneuver Warfighter Conference to explain TRADOC's priorities as we continue to move forward. Katie Cook reports.
The United States Army Training and Doctrine Command is responsible for shaping the Army into the best trained, equipped, and organized modern land power force in the world. U.S. Training and Doctrine Commander General David Perkins recently spoke at the Maneuver Warfighter Conference held at Fort Benning, where he elaborated on TRADOC's priorities, including rewriting FM 100-5, the Army Doctrine of Operations.
One of the purposes of the operating concept is to describe the future. Describe it, not tell it in exquisite detail, but describe the future in a way that can drive change within the Army. So what we try to do is describe what are the capabilities that potential adversaries will have out there. What is the environment in the world that we're going to operate in? And then what capabilities does the Army need?
TRADOC's goal will be to maintain the strength of the document while updating it for today and tomorrow's changing environments. This includes realizing the power behind defining the big picture questions.
If you have defined the problem properly, then what's going to happen is all of the answers that are driven after that actually all come together and start making sense. And actually air-land battle, probably better than any document we had before, did that.
General Perkins highlighted that the Army's new operating concept is not just an Army-centric doctrine. It involves joint operations across all domains and branches of service.
We have a fairly deliberate way of doing this. If you can provide us that insight early on, if you can provide us your visualization of the problem, if you can provide us an understanding of what your mission is, we'll work that into the basis of what we're doing so that it's not a matter of adapting to you being on the team, but it's really leverage you being on the team.
With all domains working together on the new Army operating concept, not only will it deter possible threats, but take us to a desired Army of 2025. Katie Cook, Fort Benning TV.
The parade field at the National Infantry Museum has been named in honor of one of America's World War II heroes, recognizing the courageous contributions of one of Hawaii's greatest sons. The parade field at the National Infantry Museum is now known as Inoue Field after a dedication ceremony honoring the late Senator Daniel K. Inoue. The ceremony took place in conjunction with the basic training graduation of 2 infantry companies. As a second lieutenant, Inoue was a Hawaiian soldier who served our nation during World War II, enlisting shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Lieutenant Inoue served with the 442nd Infantry Regimental Combat Team, a unit comprised of Japanese Americans. His patriotism is profound, considering he chose to fight for his nation during a time when the government considered many Japanese Americans as enemies. In San Lorenzo, Italy in 1945, Lieutenant Inoue was shot in the stomach, yet continued to lead his platoon against the enemy. When he lost his right arm to a German grenade, he continued to fight until he was knocked down by another bullet. For these actions, Inoue was initially awarded a Distinguished Service Cross. Decades later, it was determined his case may have involved racial discrimination, and in 2000, his Distinguished Service Cross was upgraded to the Medal of Honor. During the ceremony, soldiers from the 442nd poured soil from San Lorenzo onto the parade field.
The soil is not sacred in the container, but as soon as we dispersed it on the ground, to me it became hallowed ground, and I consider wherever we've spilled our blood for the sake of the nation, for the sake of others, to be hallowed ground, and this was symbolic of that.
As these companies complete their graduation, they tread on ground hallowed by their infantry forefathers. And while they are the first to do so on Inoue Field, many more will follow, giving future generations an opportunity to learn of Daniel Inoue's heroism and the legacy of the 442nd.
My great uncle, Kinio Tamnaha, served for the 442nd next to Senator Inoue in World War II. As a Hawaiian, it feels great to see someone recognized and appreciated by the nation.
Lieutenant Inoue's life is marked by decades of service. After the war, he was at the forefront of Hawaii's statehood movement. He then served as a senator from 1963 to his death in 2012. David Wright, Fort Benning TV.
Coming up next, a new weapon system for the Bradley fighting vehicle.
The Maneuver Warfighter Conference at Fort Benning not only assembled leaders for discussion, but also hosted some hard-hitting action as a newly developed weapons system was demonstrated for Army leaders. Take a look at the XM-813.
Army leaders gathered at Fort Benning to catch a glimpse into the possible future of medium-caliber weapon systems, as the XM-813 demonstrated increased lethality on the battlefield.
The primary game changer here is the accuracy of the fire control system, and it allows you to kill targets with shorter bursts with more stowed kills. It additionally provides an air burst capability that allows us to engage targets in defilade, targets in the open, and have more target effect and less suppressive effect. So you actually get kills against those targets that currently we would be doing suppression against.
Intended to replace the current 25mm M242, the XM-813 features a medium-caliber 30mm weapon system developed by TRADOC in a Königsberg turret mounted on a Bradley chassis firing linkless ammunition.
We have endorsements signed by General McMaster's and General Walker to move this forward as a 30mm solution for the Army for medium caliber. And I think the sooner we get the soldiers in here to provide that feedback to the developer, the sooner we'll see those solutions that the soldiers feel are necessary to make the system more user-friendly and more accurate in the field.
Thanks to the improvements to the barrel and recoil system by TRADOC, developers have seen a decrease in rounds required to defeat targets. And with only 2 to 3 minutes of training, soldiers were able to successfully put rounds down range.
When I fired off several bursts off the weapon, what I was impressed by is the simplicity of use of the fire control system and the ease with which I was able to be taught within the span of probably about 5 minutes to upload ammunition into the feeder, and as well as put rounds on target at about 1,500 meters with very little instruction and just using my background and similarities between fire control systems and different combat vehicles.
Staff Sergeant Stone believes the XM-813 could improve the vehicle's capability to provide a better fire support role for the dismounted infantry, aiding in maneuverability and survivability.
As a tanker, we're always one shot, one kill, and anything that can get our infantry brethren, closer to that and be able to allow them to, have that one shot, one kill mentality, or put minimum rounds achieved for target effect onto the target area is going to be something that's going to be a plus for everybody.
Although this demonstration features the XM-813 on a Bradley fighting vehicle, the potential exists for this system to be mounted on other combat vehicles as well. Melissa Bell, Fort Benning TV.
After the break, Doughboy football season kicks off. But first, Fort Benning's Picture This. combined federal campaign kicked off on Fort Benning, allowing soldiers and civilians to easily give back to the community. I went out to take a look at how the campaign is getting soldiers pumped up for giving.
You can't touch this.
The Fort Benning community kicked off the combined federal campaign Army style with a dodgeball tournament featuring units from all across post.
We're having a dodgeball tournament, but first we're going to take a few minutes and have some guest speakers and talk about the importance of the CFC. But then we're going to have about 14 teams from across post playing a dodgeball tournament. So it's a gentleman's tournament. We're going to have some fun. We hope to, we will crown a new winner. Last year was Medac, and we'll see who takes the trophy home this year.
But before the perspiration came the inspiration, as Fort Benning leaders supported the event.
We all know that we've been given a lot, and we have a lot to be thankful for. So it's our time to take a little bit of time out just to thank those that have done that for us. So on behalf of CFC, we want this to be a good season. And for today, let the best team rule the court. Kool.
This year's tournament featured 14 six-man teams from all across post and was a reminder of how teamwork can achieve goals. Last year raised a grand total of about $623,000, and this year officials hope to exceed that goal. With over 20,000 charities to choose from, it's a way to donate to your passion.
Yeah. We're going to just try to top what we did last year. So when you see the thermometers out around post, a lot of people ask that question, is that dollars or is that percentage of goal? This year it's going to definitely be a percentage of how close we get to the 623,000.
Teams who faced off in this tournament will carry their enthusiasm back to their units, where they can donate in person or even online with MyPay.
It's a choice. So we're here again giving people the choice to give if they would like.
The campaign for federal employees ends on December 15th, so make sure to sign up to give back. Melissa Bell, Fort Benning TV.
Can't touch this.
The Fort Benning Doughboy football team is back, opening the season with a win. Our Katie Cook was on the sidelines in the opening game to bring us the highlights.
It's time to dig out those jerseys and head out to enjoy America's favorite pastime. Doughboy football season has officially begun, and it's safe to say that the season is off to a great start, as the Doughboys crushed the Greenville Firebirds from Greenville, Alabama, 36-0.
It was actually outstanding. I mean, we've been practicing all week to come out here and to come out and dominate and do the best we can to not only win, but have a good victory for our whole team.
After taking a 22-0 lead into halftime, the Doughboys opened it up further with a third-quarter touchdown run from running back Courtney Anderson.
I got hit by a linebacker, and once he hit me, I tiptoed, and I noticed that the touchdown was in my range. So I went ahead and dove, and as soon as I dove, I put my hands out to put the ball beyond the line of the touchdown.
With only a handful of players returning from last season, there's a lot to be taught during practices. And due to work schedules, these soldiers only had 14 to 15 practices before the season began.
Now we can be better, and we plan to be better. Today was just our first victory of many that we plan to get, but again, it was just one victory. We're going to enjoy this victory tonight, but come Monday morning, we're going hard. In the film room, we're going hard back on the practice field to get ready for our next game.
Head coach Jason Gibson is taking practice day by day and says that hopefully they can build on it and get ready for the Doughboy Bowl. They have 4 more games to prepare for the 5th annual Doughboy Bowl, which will take place October 24th, as they attempt to take down their rivals, Columbus State University. Katie Cook, Fort Benning TV.
Coming up next, Kool and the gang bring the funk to Fort Benning. Throngs of eager fans packed York Field for a free concert from a legendary act. Katie Cook celebrates good times with Kool and the gang.
A little rain couldn't keep fans away from attending Fort Benning's Benning Bash. The concert featured a wide range of music, delighting fans of all ages as they filled up York Field. First up was Ray Lynn, a young country artist who was a contestant on Season 2 of NBC's The Voice. Next up was the rock and blues band Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown. But there was no doubt that the well-known R&B legends Kool and the Gang, who happened to be celebrating 50 years of entertainment this year, made a bigger splash than the weather.
I'm excited being that this is my music. This is my music, my generation, growing up in the 70s and 80s and knowing that it's the originals. I'll make a fool of myself out there dancing.
I'm just excited to be here. I'm elated, don't know what to do. I grew up in Kool and the Gang. I thought I was cool too, but I never been in a gang, but I always been cool.
A group like Kool and the Gang comes to us and says, we want to do a concert for our soldiers and military family and the community for free. We wouldn't dare pass that up.
Katie Cook, Fort Benning TV.
Swinging over here.
They needed me up there. Check out these moves.
No thank you. We really don't need to see that. Thankfully, that brings this edition of the Benning Report to an end, but you can watch these stories and others on youtube.com/BenningTV or at benning.army.mil.
Or you can like us on Facebook.
From the Public Affairs Office, thanks for watching.